Hi, welcome to Carolyn's Farm Kitchen. This is where we celebrate local farm foods and eating within the season. And today it's all about the summer harvest. We have fantastic summer crops here from area farms. We're going to get right into it. Starting with dessert first, which is always a favorite. So today we're making an upside down peach cake using the sweetest, most juicy peaches. And we start off, I have a little bit of melted butter here. Just going to make a little bit of a caramel that's going to go in the bottom of my cake dish. And then we'll top that with peach slices and then flip it after it comes out of the oven. So a little bit of melted butter and some light brown sugar. We're just going to melt this until the sugar dissolves. Let that hang out for a little bit. So peaches this time of year are absolutely fantastic. Super juicy and sweet, and the orchards are loaded with them. Great. So while our butter and sugar mixture hangs out, we're going to jump over and work on the cake. This is a super easy cake, basic creaming method, which means combining the fat, which is butter in this case. We have great butter, a little bit of sugar. So we're combining the butter and the sugar. We're just going to mix this together and cream it together until it's light and fluffy. And what this does with baking is actually help to put air into the cake. So even though there is some leavening in the cake, baking powder, baking soda, this creaming method actually helps to give it some height as well. So we're blending it together until it becomes a paste, and then we'll whip it until it's light and fluffy. Meanwhile, we have a couple of gorgeous farm eggs that are going to go in this. So what I love about this cake, and really any dessert, is that it can cross through all the seasons. So we're making it today with peaches. You could use blueberries, raspberries, nectarines. You could use a mix of fruit. So I absolutely love that because it can take you right through the New England seasons, which is what this show's about. So our mixture is nice and creamed, getting light and fluffy. So again, you just want to get some air into that. And then we have our eggs and a measured amount of vanilla. Vanilla and peaches go together fantastic. So when the mixture is nice and light and fluffy, we're going to lower the speed a little bit just so I don't wear the eggs, and add our eggs and vanilla. And just give that a nice blend so that they incorporate together. Meanwhile, I'm going to check on our caramel mixture. Oh, looks delicious already. And really just butter, brown sugar. Just give that a little bit longer to melt. At this point, halfway through, before I add the dry ingredients with baking, I always like to scrape the bottom of the bowl. There's always that little bit of spot that doesn't get connected with the paddle on the mixer, and you'll have chunks of butter if you don't scrape that down. So give it a good scrape. Go back and give it a blend. And then from here, I've already pre-measured some spices. So we have cinnamon, a little bit of ginger, which is fantastic with peaches, nutmeg, a pinch of salt, baking soda, and baking powder. So that's the leavening that jumps right in as well. So our mixture is beautifully smooth and creamy, and I just want to show you what this looks like. Absolutely gorgeous, creamy, no lumps of butter. We're going to go ahead and add our flour. Always fluff it up. And then just straight level, get a nice even measure. So it's about 1.5 cups of flour. Fluff, settle, scrape. Baking is definitely a science compared to cooking. You do have to follow a little bit of rules. You could change up the fruit, but you need to follow rules as far as measuring. Add all those dry ingredients in there, and then with the mixer on low speed, I'm going to slowly add in some milk. So you could do milk or buttermilk in this, either way. Just want to blend this until the wet and dry are combined. It's important with baking that once you introduce the dry ingredients, you don't overmix. That's when a product can get tough. You're starting to develop gluten, which is toughness. And we don't want a tough peach cake. We want a tender peach cake. So absolutely beautiful. We'll do the rest by hand. I want to just show you. So look how quickly that went together. And again, if you go raspberry picking, blueberry picking, apple picking, use this cake, change up the fruit. You can change up the spices to suit your own taste. You could add nuts to the batter. It's just so flexible. Okay, now let's come on over here. So I want to just show you, we have this beautiful batter that I'll finish mixing by hand a little bit. You can see that. So meanwhile, our caramel is done, and the caramel is just this brown sugar and butter mixture. Can't go wrong with that. And this pours on the bottom of our cake plate. So right into the bottom. You could even add spices to this caramel if you wanted to. Absolutely delicious there. Just put that in there. So I have some beautiful farm peaches that I've pre-sliced some, and we're just going to put these around in a circle in a nice pattern. So what's going to happen is the batter is going to go on top of this, pop it right in the oven, bake it until the cake is done through, and then let it cool a little bit and invert it. And it's absolutely beautiful. So I leave the skin on peaches and plums and stone fruit when I bake with it. I love it. I think that's what farm cooking is. It's rustic. It's not fancy. Delicious it should be, but rustic. So I leave the skin on. If you don't like the mouthfeel of it, then you go ahead and take the skin off. Just going to put a couple in the middle. I do want to show you how I cut the peaches. Paring knife. I actually just make a slice top to bottom and then go right around and make another slice top to bottom. And you can go right around the peach and cut it off the pit. No need to try to cut it in half and wrestle the pits out. There are freestone peaches and clingstone peaches. So I'm sure you've noticed sometimes the pits are stuck in there and sometimes they pop right out. And that's totally based on the variety of peach. But if you use that method and cut right around, you're good to go. We'll get one more peach. So look at that. Our peaches are in our caramel. Our batter goes on top. Again, rustic food. You don't have to be super neat. Sorry, I'm a lefty there. And my pan's a little bit smaller, so I may not add all that batter. We'll have a big mess in the oven. And you definitely always want to bake anything with a caramel like this, bake it on a baking sheet just in case it spills over. You don't have to worry about it dripping in your oven. That is it. That pops in a 350 oven. It'll take about 35 minutes depending on the fruit and the juiciness of the peaches. So we will I'm actually going to set this right over here. I have one in the oven to show you later. So our next dish that we're going to do is a main salad. It's a panzanella salad. And panzanella is a classic salad that typically uses tomatoes, onions, basil, and actually stale bread. And what happens is the tomatoes give up all their juices. You season it really well with oil and vinegar and salt and pepper. And then at the very end, when you're ready to serve the salad, you toss the salad with the stale bread, and they just soak up all those juices. Today, I'm doing a farmer's market panzanella using the beautiful crops that we have. So, and I will show you that. What I thought would go fantastic on this salad is to do some basil roasted shrimp. So I love roasting shrimp. I think it's a great way to cook it. You don't have to have the splatter on the stove. We just marinate it. So typically shrimp can go with a quick marinade, meaning 20 minutes, 30 minutes. You don't actually, as a rule, want to marinate shrimp overnight because the acid will actually cook the fish and it'll become tough, or cook the shrimp. So I have these beautiful large shrimp. So these are peeled, deveined, and this size is a 10 to 12 count. And what that simply means is it averages 10 to 12 shrimp per pound. So love this marinade, it's super easy. Extra virgin olive oil, of course. I'll pull that back here. A little bit of red wine vinegar, just for that acid. Tabasco. Tabasco just makes it, again, it's another source of vinegar, but also a little bit of spiciness. And that's to taste. Any kind of hot sauce would do. A little bit of salt and pepper. And a couple cloves of smashed garlic. So I have this, again, this gorgeous farm garlic. We're just going to bash up a couple of cloves. So typically I would make the shrimp, I'd make the marinade it in the fridge. Always refrigerate fish and shellfish, even if you're marinating it, absolutely. So I'd marinate it for about 20 minutes or so and then roast it as we will today. We're going to go right into the roasting phase so I can show you. So when you're roasting, the method of roasting in general, whether it's shrimp like we're doing today, or cauliflower, or butternut squash, or Brussels sprouts, it's high heat, shallow pan. So roasting is a dry heat method. If you overcrowd the pan or you use a pan that's too deep, you're going to go from roasting to actually steaming the food, and that's not what we want. We want that dry heat and to really flavor, help caramelize that shrimp. So we have some beautiful garlic. And last but not least, this is called basil roasted shrimp for a reason. It is huge amounts of basil in the marinade. And then typically I just pull it, kind of strain the shrimp out of the marinade before I roast it. So here's a great tip. Stack the leaves, the basil leaves, roll them up like a big cigar, and then fingertips tucked, thumb back. This lets you really finely shred the basil. The culinary term for this is chiffonade. It's just a fancy name for finely shredding basil. But you can see it just gives you a beautiful, beautiful shred. So that goes on. We're going to add a little more olive oil, and that is our marinade. So we'll give it a little bit of a toss. Isn't this gorgeous? The Tabasco, the olive oil. It's one of my favorite dishes. And what I love is that you can have the shrimp hot, you can have it cold. We're going to have it slightly warm today on our salad, but it really can you can enjoy it so many different ways. You could serve it with pasta or rice. Okay, normally you'd cover this, refrigerate 20 minutes. We're skipping that step because I want to get it right into the oven. So I'm going to just drain it out of the marinade. So remember what I was saying about roasting being a dry heat? If I just dump all this marinade in the pan, then we're changing the cooking method, and we don't want that. A single layer. I have the oven preheated to 450 degrees. These shrimp are only going to take about 6 to 8 minutes, and that'll vary with the size shrimp that you go with. Let me just give my hands a quick wash. And these shrimp can cook while I prepare the salad. So right into the oven. They smell so good already, and they haven't even had a chance to really marinate too long, and they're delicious. Okay, on to our panzanella salad. So again, just to remind you, panzanella is a traditional old-style Italian salad that was really developed as a way to use leftover bread, stale bread. So they would just cut beautiful summer tomatoes, onion, a little bit of olive oil, basil, and then toss it together and add olive oil and vinegar in that bread and just make a delicious salad. We're doing the market panzanella because at the farmer's market, this is what you're seeing these days. So I have some beautiful sweet corn. And what I've done is literally just taken ears of corn and blanched them in boiling water. So drop them in boiling water for a minute just to take that rawness out of the corn. Cut the corn off the cob. I have beautiful cucumbers, a couple different kinds of tomatoes, and we're going to chop some more veggies as well. I have more tomatoes, green peppers, and look at these onions, gorgeous, gorgeous red onions from my farmer friend, Isaac. So we'll get started. And you just want to dice these up. This is really a chopped salad, so you don't have to be too fancy with how you cut them, but try to keep everything similar in size. So when I do peppers, you want to use 100% of the vegetable. You don't want to waste anything, and you want life to be easy. So make a thin slice off the top. The stem falls out. This piece is 100% usable. And then just stick your thumb in upside down, and the seeds pop out. You can tap out all of the ribs. Now you have 100% usable pepper, so you don't waste one piece of this. These peppers are so crisp. What a difference on farm fresh food. You know what, when you're shopping at markets, farmers markets and farm stands, your food is so local, often within 5 or 10 miles, and it's just absolutely fantastic. You can taste the difference. Food's cooked differently. So I just have, again, doing a large dice. Remember when you're chopping, fingertips tucked, thumb back, always protect that thumb. All in the bowl here. And so what will happen is that the juices of these tomatoes and all of the vegetables will actually start to release in the bowl, and that's going to contribute to our dressing. So just going to pop out that little stem on the tomato. Keep it simple. Cut them into large pieces. There are so many kinds of great tomatoes out there too. later in the tomato season, you have some heirloom tomatoes that come in. And heirlooms are just older varieties of tomatoes that have kind of been forgotten about or maybe lost favor in terms of mainstream, growing and production. But they are back for sure, and you'll see all colors and shapes and sizes. There's green zebra, large yellow Valencia tomatoes, all kinds of cherry and grape tomatoes. So I hope you're just out there at your local farms and markets and kind of seeing what's out there. So our onions, and I may add more than one of these. So I'm just going to trim the top off. It's not that this isn't edible, it's just fibrous. So you could certainly save it and use it for compost or for vegetable stock. But I'm just looking for that beautiful purple bulb. So just drag the knife right up to where the purple ends, and we'll actually save that and compost that. So just going to trim the root end off a lot, fillet it right in half. Anytime you have something rolling around in the board, get that second hand off the board and over the top so it's safe. Now I can lay the onion flat. Same thing, I'm going to cut these into a smaller dice just because where we're okay eating a large chunk of tomato, we don't want a large chunk of red onion. Look at these. These are absolutely gorgeous inside. Can you see, where do you see that? The white onion. That's so cool. Love it. And that's what I think for me, I've been cooking a long time, and every year at farms and markets, I see new foods, new varieties of vegetables that I've never seen, and it's an ongoing education, and I love it. I think it's fantastic. And the farmers themselves are just so passionate about what they do. They love sharing their stories and their tips and techniques for growing things, so it's just really a great community. All right, I think that 1.5 is fantastic. Let's get this baby going here. So from here, we will save all of that. Okay, so we have our corn, our tomatoes, our peppers, and so I call this a farmer's market panzanella. The key is to season it really well. Lots of salt. It's going to look like a lot of salt, but keep in mind we just have plain vegetables here, and the dressing is going to be built right in. Good shot of black pepper. Good glug of extra virgin olive oil. This is where you want the olive oil to count the quality. About half as much red wine vinegar, so it's about 2 to 1 oil to vinegar. Again, I'm making this pretty bright with acid because it's just straight up vegetables. So don't be afraid to season your food. When you're using farm food and doing simple cooking, it's great, but you need to season it well. And then a great bunch of basil. And this basil is just absolutely amazing. Don't lose if you grow basil or herbs in the garden, don't lose them. Make sure that you make it into a pesto or dry them, do something with it. So we're going to throw some basil in with our salad. And this salad, because it's a chopped salad and it's not a green salad, a leafy salad, you can definitely let this sit a day or two in the refrigerator where you couldn't do a dressed salad like that. Look at that. That looks so delicious. This is just bathed in oil and vinegar and farm veggies and basil. And all of those juices are just going to start growing and growing in the bowl, which is a good thing, because right when we're ready to toss our salad, I've grilled some baguette, so brushed with extra virgin olive oil, grilled some baguette. That's a great way to do crostini at home or bruschetta. In this case, we're actually going to cut it into croutons for our salad. A neat trick just to show you. So when you grill your bread, just be generous with the olive oil. It makes a difference. So grill it over medium-high heat. You just need to watch it. If your heat's too high, then you'll char the bread. And if it's not high enough, you won't have toast. When it comes off the grill, take a whole clove of garlic, and you can actually rub garlic on one side or both sides. It's personal taste, and that actually creates garlic toast. We have a lot of garlic going on today's menu, so I'm not going to do too much of that, but I just wanted to show you that. So meanwhile, I'm just going to cut some of these into large croutons. And so the whole purpose of this panzanella in the croutons, just to remind you, is that this bread, this toasted bread, when you add it to the salad, just soaks up all those juices, and it's like, wow on the flavor. So that is why we have the nice toasted bread. I think we just do a couple more. And one more. Always one for good luck. When I cook, anyone who's cooked with me knows that's my saying, always one for good luck. I want to take a second and just go check the oven to see how our shrimp is doing. And a pair of tongs. Oh, they smell so good. Can you see that? Look at, they're absolutely beautiful. Just going to give that one more minute. Oh, gorgeous. And again, you can have those hot, cold. They hold pretty well. Let's go ahead and finish our salad. So croutons go in, give it a good toss. They're going to start absorbing all those juices. Should definitely taste for seasoning. You have to taste along the way. Again, it's just straight up veggies. Yum. Delicious. A little bit more acid. A little bit more salt. Absolutely delicious. I'm going to go ahead and put this in a bowl. This to me would be dinner on a hot summer night. Definitely a company dinner. If you come to my house, you're getting something like this. Look at that. Look at all that juice. And the more bread you add, the more it just soaks it up. Isn't that the best part when you're eating something, and even if it's soup in the winter, have nice bread that just kind of absorbs all of the juices. Absolutely gorgeous. Okay, let's grab our shrimp is definitely done. Look at it, and we've used the roasting method. It's starting to caramelize a little bit or get a little bit of color on the bottom. Look at that. This is the Tabasco, the basil. Oh, I wish you could smell this. Really, wish you could smell this. It's delicious. There you go. I always say cooking while you're hungry is a good motivation to cook, to get it done. We are definitely fitting all these shrimp on here. Just loading it up. And I think we should absolutely finish it with a little bit of extra basil. Again, stack it up, roll it into a tight cigar, right over the top. And if you have extra bread, you don't waste it. If you want, you could put it on the side. I don't waste anything, and I don't think we should. So we'll do one more for good luck. That is our Farmer's Market Panzanella basil roasted shrimp. I want to show you another quick dish. I wanted to throw together a quick appetizer, and I love it. It celebrates farm eggplant. So we have some beautiful eggplant over here. This one right here is a Sicilian eggplant. I want to just show you quick too. We have these beautiful little baby eggplants. They're sometimes called Indian eggplant, but absolutely gorgeous. These you split in half and grill them. Whew, delish. All right, so we have the whole Sicilian eggplant. Pretty much what you want to do, and I have some done, but I just want to demonstrate this, is to make indents. Take a knife in random 10, 12 spots all over the eggplant. Really make deep, deep slits in the eggplant, and then take cloves of garlic and actually wedge them. I sometimes take my thumb and make the slit a little bit bigger. Wedge them right down into the eggplant. So you do this in about 10 to 12 spots all over, rub it with olive oil, put it on a cookie sheet, 350 oven until it deflates and it's completely tender, and I'll show you what that looks like. I think it's pretty cool. So this is an eggplant. This is big old Italian eggplant that I've done earlier. So look at this. This is studded with garlic cloves all throughout. Literally just olive oil. It's baked. That one took about 50 minutes. And what we're going to do with this is just make a wonderful dip or a spread. This is great on as a bruschetta, as a sandwich spread. So we're actually going to take the eggplant, get rid of this, cut it in half lengthwise, and scoop out all of that flesh. And in that flesh, I want to show you what this looks like. There are garlic cloves studded all throughout this. This is nice. We're celebrating garlic season for sure. Just scoop out all that tender flesh. Most of the skin comes away. If you have a little bit of skin and you're okay with it, I would be fine with it. I love it, its color, its texture. So, oh, look how tender that is, just falls right out. So scoop out all that flesh. This is a hands-on experience. It's fun cooking with your hands. You have to kind of get right in there. So from here, we just take the back of the spoon, and we're actually going to smash up. You can use a fork, you could use a potato masher, but because we roasted that garlic, all the garlic is sweet. It's not sharp, it's sweet and it's tender. Then to this, we just finish off the spread. Extra virgin olive oil, a little bit of vinegar again. You can see the acid plays a role. We just gives a little bit of brightness. Pinch of crushed red pepper flake for a little bit of heat, and that's to taste. Salt and pepper, again, season well. I'm going to go a little more cautious on the salt because I fully intend on adding a little bit of feta cheese to this. Salt and pepper, mix that up. Some fresh parsley, gorgeous. Yep, just hold the stems and just shave it away from you. Nice sharp knife, rather than pick off one stem at a time. You know, I'm trying to keep it simple for you in the kitchen. You don't have to put all that time to it. If you get a few stems, you're just going to chop them right up. So a little bit of fresh parsley is going to go in here. I also want to add a little bit of lemon juice. So this gets acid from two ways, the vinegar and the fresh lemon. You can see where we're going. This is almost a Mediterranean style. Clean flavors, bold and delicious. Oh, that roasted eggplant and the garlic is just so sweet. And then we actually are going to finish it off with some sun-dried tomatoes. So these are just nice sun-dried tomatoes that have been finely julienned. I'm going to add that. Okay, we're going to give this a mix. And that is our roasted eggplant dip. I have some wonderful pita chips right here. And you can just serve it with pita. You could serve it with some of this bread. So right on the top, look at that. A little bit of feta cheese over the top. You don't have to add feta. You could add goat cheese, olives to this. And that is just a beautiful summer eggplant dip. All right, we have to get our cake out of the oven so that you can see that. And so here we have our upside down peach cake. Just gonna pull this out. And let me grab a plate. So you want to be careful when you're flipping. Anytime you're flipping something hot, just be mindful of it. Be safe. Hold it away from you. With that said, don't hesitate halfway through. You sort of need to commit to it and be all in. All right, 1, 2, 3. And you say a little bit of a prayer. Hope that it comes out. I may even take a little fork. Let's see if I can, just because I can't get it off the plate. Give it a little jiggle. Oh, yum. Love when it works out, because look at that. How great does that look? That is our upside down peach cake with farm peaches. Has the caramel on the bottom, the spices in the middle. You can make this with any kind of fruit. So I hope I've inspired you to get out there to your local farms, your markets, support the local farmers. The food makes all the difference night and day. And this is a great way to celebrate summer, so I'm pretty excited to share it with you. So thanks so much, folks. See you next time. Happy cooking. Taste. Yum.